slap it, rack it, and boom, just spray. So that's what happens on Pandora every single day and night, huh? That's why the Na'vi people seem so unified as a family, as a tribe. That's why they seem so at one with nature, because they're always slapping it, they're always racking it, and then they're always, boom, just spraying, and then rolling over and going to sleep for a number of hours. I just wonder, if they do too much of it, if they look down, are they going to boom, just spray, and go blind? What would Awa think? What would Awa do? Awa, come and we won't go home. Here's the humans coming to Pandora to mine the minerals and go on home. Hey, we've got James Cameron's third film in the Avatar franchise that makes a lot of money. One day only at the Bon Marché. Avatar, Fire and Ash is the third. Yes, third. Yes, third. James Cameron, 9-foot-tall Smurf Native American religious story thing that has made billions of dollars at the box office. The first Avatar in 2009 cleaned up at the box office. I remember seeing that movie in theaters. I was going through a bit of a rough patch at that point. Thankfully, I had a best friend to deal with that, and that was a whole lot of fun. That was a lot of good, and the first Avatar made a whole lot of money, and it was very pleasing to the visual eye, as opposed to the naked eye, such as Luscious Jackson would once say. Anybody that gets that, I love you guys. But yes, Avatar was quite the technical achievement as far as visual effects. It also pretty much ripped off Ferngully, Dance with the Wolves, and pretty much every Native American story ever, and also had super bland human characters. But don't worry, we only had to wait 13 years for Avatar: The Way of Water. Well, geez, I mean, granted, it kind of makes sense. He wanted to do that in 2014, but things kept getting pushed back. Also, he wanted to expand the script, and also the studio probably realized, hey, wait, the first one made so many billions, let's have this one. And Avatar: The Way of Water made billions. I ended up actually not seeing that one in theaters, and did recently rewatch the 2009 and that one. And you know what? Technically, they are very impressive. They are also very hollow as far as stories or characters or really any emotional depth. I will say The Way of Water does a little bit better with that, because it centers more around the world of Pandora, expanding, going to different tribes, different lands, that kind of stuff, because Pandora apparently is a very, very, very vast area that you could just fly to in about 2 hours. So anyway, here's Fire and Ash, which has received a lot of attention. I mean, I was seeing ads for this for a long time. James Cameron is a very good filmmaker. James Cameron also has kind of gotten a little bit long in the tooth with some of these movies. This is a 197-minute long movie. And also the other people involved in the writing story process are the same people from Avatar: The Way of Water. So, returning characters, Sam Worthington as Jake Scully, the Marine turned Na'vi. If you don't know what the Na'vi are, you are jumping into the wrong review. The Na'vi are 9-foot-tall alien creatures that we want to steal from, because we as humans don't ever learn. So anyway, we have Zoe Saldana Neytiri, who Jake takes as his wife. We have Sigourney Weaver, who did play Grace, now plays Kiri. It's always nice to have Sigourney Weaver in a movie, even if she's just voicing somebody. Stephen Lang as I'm going to call him Quarter Itch, because it's just funnier, because, you know, something about this movie made me itch. It's like a 7-year itch, or it's like that Pink song, You Make Me Itch. And we do also have the returning Ronal, who's played by Kate Winslet, Cliff Curtis, CCH Pounder damn near killed her, and Eddie Falco, Punch, who plays General Ardmore. And this time, instead of just the Reef people and the forest people that are the Na'vi there, we have a new threat. The Ash people. There's a technical name for them, but they're the Ash people, because they don't deserve to. I think it's the Mang Kwan, if I remember right. I think they were inspired by Michelle Kwan. So anyway, the Ash people are led by Varang, played by the very gifted, and holy shit, if you take a look at her on Google, the gorgeous Una Chaplin, who, my goodness, with respect, that's at least a bit of a charge right there. She, injecting a little bit of life like that and having an evil Na'vi tribe is a neat little spin. I'll give James Cameron that much credit, and then he was allowed to expand the Pandora universe more, or the Pandora planet. He was able to do that also because of a $400 million budget. Let me say that again. A $400 million budget. You could give that budget to A24 and Neon Studios. You could split that. And You give $200 million to A24, you give $200 million to Neon Studios, and they both probably would have change left over. I mean, you could give $400 million to Blumhouse, and they would still be spending that $400 million 5 years from now because they're so cheap. That being said, Avatar Fire and Ash receiving a lot of attention, receiving some early access screenings for critics, and some people were able to see it, I assume, at film festivals or somewhere. So, if you like the first Avatar, if you like the second Avatar, you know what you're getting into with this one. However, depending on your opinion of that, you are going to feel one of two ways about this. You're going to either like it to love it, or you're going to kind of feel eh. There are people that hate the Avatar movies. I'm not the biggest fan of the first one. Rewatching it, it has a lot of padding, a lot of generic characters. Stephen Lang, who's a terrific villain, really not necessarily given a whole lot to do here. And Sam Worthington, bless him, seems like a nice guy. Not the best leading guy, but when you put him in a 9-foot-tall Smurf costume CGI thing, cool. And then The Way of Water ends up, amping up all the stuff with the Tolkiens, the whales, and stuff like that. Not the J.R. Tolkien variety. And the Reef People, and Loak being one of the sons. And in The Way of Water, they lost their son, Nataeum, I think is what his name was. And also, Grace, Sigourney Weaver's character, after dying, Kiri was a clone of hers. Because why not? Because that's just how we're going to do that stuff. And when we last left our intrepid heroes, we had Nataeum that died. We had the Tolkiens. We had the whales with the multiple eyes, killing people that were on ships that were trying to attack the Reef People. So don't worry, we are going to deal with the Fire and Ash people, and we are not going to go back to the same stuff. Except then you realize in interviews James Cameron had said that this basically the Way of Water script split into two because he couldn't do everything he wanted in The Way of Water. By which I mean you were going to get a lot of very pretty graphics. You're going to get a high frame rate that you guys may love, you guys may hate. It will look a little bit weird in standard definition. I would argue it looks weird in 3D. And there are some neat visual, like James Cameron will put love and care into this and wants to really tell this expansive story, this massive, expansive, emotional story. At least I think that's what he's trying to do. I don't know what the fuck people find appealing about the Avatar movies. I thought The Way of Water had some moments, but I thought it was too long. Like, this is just over 3 hours, and each Avatar movie, you could have cut 40 minutes out of them. And you wouldn't have missed anything. It's like The Lord of the Rings. You cut out the walking and you have like a 90-minute movie between the three. I mean, I don't think that's necessarily the case, but you might have one complete movie between all three. That's including the extended editions. The thing about Fire and Ash is really, besides Varang, and the idea of the Ash people being evil and doing this stuff, that's really all this movie has to offer, because it just repeats a lot of the same stuff with the Tolkiens, with Paryakan, I think is how it's said. The one whale that Loak, bonded with. And other than that, we just pretty much get Stephen Lang's character, Quarterich, trying to get his son Spider, who's still in the loincloth, by the way, does have a bit of a plot development a little bit later on that I'll talk about. But really, it's just another Avatar movie. If you're into that, you're going to love it. If you're not, I don't know why in the world, besides maybe reviewing stuff, why in the world you would want to go see it. Maybe you'll have your mind change like I had with Terrifier 3. No, this is pretty much just The Way of Water, except, just a little bit longer. Longer with big Ashen Red. There were things that were actually pretty good here. I didn't mind the family dynamic stuff, even if a lot of it seemed to follow the same goddamn beats. They did put some of the Na'vi in a little more danger, but also at the same time, we have this final battle that really just felt like it was spinning its wheels. Ironic for something that really doesn't have wheels. It just has a lot of stuff because it's doing what it's doing. There are some breathtaking moments. There are some cool moments, but a lot of it really just feels like a PS4 and a PS5 game put up on the big screen like you're just wanting to hit the controllers, but your batteries are running out, and now the cutscenes are just running over and over and over for 3 goddamn hours. And unfortunately, that's what Fire and Ash ends up being. If you guys love the Avatar movies, great. I'm not telling you that you can't. I just don't understand the goddamn appeal of these things when besides making money, they have no, they're hollow. They're hollow. They have nothing. It's in theaters. You want to check it out. 3, 2, 1. Spoilers. So, there we go. I am getting into the meat of the matter here. We have more. Loek is blaming himself for the death of his brother. And Jake kind of does hold him responsible because of stuff. But at the same time, you don't leave anybody behind. And remember when the kids kept, either getting kidnapped or going on their own and everything in the Way of Water? Well, congratulations, you're getting more of that in this. I will say that the Ash people at least have a neat little bit about them. That we did see the Wind Traders, which was a neat little thing with a weird space stingray thing. So keep Space Steve Irwin out of the way. And we had some neat visuals, and the Wind Traders, I imagine, might come back into play in Avatar 4, because I don't know if we're getting a 5th one. I don't know if Cameron's going to live that long, but I know for a fact that they're planning to do a 4th and 5th. And as long as these keep making, if this makes even $1.5 billion, they are going to make the 4th. If it only makes $1 billion, they might cut down the budget a little bit. But that being said, we have the brothers playing around. The Na'vi, the Forest Tribe, and the Reef people, the Reefer Madness people, are more in unity. And really, this does pick up almost, maybe not right immediately after, but pretty soon after. But the thing is they're getting weapons from the ship that they sunk in the Way of Water, and they're trying to come up with ways, because the Sky people are going to come back. And Quarterich is still looking for his son. By the way, Spider's big development is his mask runs out of oxygen. He's bonded with Awa, despite the fact that Kiri, if she touches, any stuff like when she tried to touch the underwater version of like Mother Earth, the great tree, but the sea urchin thing, and she seizured and almost died. Now, Spider was linked to Awa, and now is suddenly able to breathe. It's like a symbiote, and now humans can breathe. But if he is captured by, Giovanni Ribisi and Eddie Falco Punch, General, then it is going to be difficult for humans to not acclimate a lot quicker to this. That's pretty much the only thing. They're mining a lot of these materials and taking them back to Earth. And isn't it funny, by the way, that Earth is dying, has depleted resources, but they're able to send so many weapons and so many things to this far-off planet. It's like things haven't changed at all in how many ever hundreds of years. What was the year in the first one? 2170? I actually genuinely don't remember or care. But we have the Sullys. They're trying to make things work. During, by the way, an attempt to take Spider back with the Wind Traders, the Ash people attack. Actually a pretty decent action scene here. We do get introduced to Varang, and Natiri ends up injured, which is an injury that haunts her for all of about an hour after this, and then she pretty much forgets about that injury because it heals. But the kids get separated. Spider is being examined by the good team of scientists, and then later by the bad team of scientists. If you expect like an expansive thing of like all the happenings in this, it's just the Way of Water 2.0. That's pretty much what it is. I should say Way of Water DLC, because really besides the Ash people, it's like that's the only good part that there is. And even at one point, Quarterich tries to have a unity with them because they want guns. They saw that the guns ended up, piercing through them. But arrows didn't. They had tougher skin. And that's because there was this erupting volcano and the fire came down and everything. And Varang was able to harness that stuff. And also she has a hair connecting thing that she can use to drive people wild. Looking at a chaplain, I would believe that, by the way. That being said, that's something that she ends up using on Quarterich, and then she ends up trying to use on other people as well. Kiri is trying to have more of an understanding of her life, does eventually get the bombshell drop that she is a clone, but still wants to know more about, she wants to go, give with the Great Mother, or Mother Pandora, or whatever the hell they call it. At one point they show it looked like a giant baby from 2001 went to Pandora and got stupider. But we do have like the wife of the chief of the Reefer people, or the Reef people, who was pregnant in the last one and is about to give birth in this one. And they're basically trying to get the Tulkuns together, the whale people. They're the whale watchers, they're the whale watchers. While the Ash people are banding together, Lang, Corderich, and Varang are trying to basically form a union. Eddie Falco Punch is not happy that this is going on because, oh, you gifted them guns, now you're bringing them here. We're trying to take care of this stuff. Oh, and the weird Aussie guy that was hunting the Tolkien whales is trying to go back out and do more stuff, and he lost an arm, so now he's got the thing. Or maybe he had the metal arm in the second one, and I just didn't pay attention or care. But the Sullies are preparing for battle. Neytiri has to heal her arm, and yeah, they get separated a few times. There's also the side plot where Spider may have to be killed by Jake, because Jake is worried if humans can breathe on Pandora, the Na'vi people will cease to exist. He's about to, but then he doesn't end up doing it. And he felt bad, trying to do it. And Spider even knew he had to, but he didn't want him to, because he considers him a father. And so that's going on and everything, and we're just going along here. And by the way, about 90 minutes in, 95 minutes in, if you need to take a bathroom break, that's probably about the best time. Realistically, you won't miss all that much. But yeah, you get more science stuff, you get more explanation. You just get pretty much the same thing. But again, it's not a deep narrative. There's not a lot of depth to these characters. And the Ash people eventually kind of just become window dressing. In fact, they kind of get forgotten about for a good portion of the movie. Which I know the idea is we're supposed to build up this unity between the Tolkien whales, the Reefer Madness people, and the Forest Na'vi, the Sullies, and all that stuff. And I get it, but I find the Ash people more interesting because they're new. We don't get much of that. But then eventually, the idea is they get everybody together, and they're going to have another fight at the reef place. Oh, Jesus Christ, God. It literally just is the Way of Water 2.0, but now they have bigger ships, and they with blackjack and hookers, and they have more stuff, and then they have the Ash people on their side. And so now, mind you, the whales are doing what they are, the elders. There's this one cool part with this Queen Elder that ends up welcoming back the ostracized one. There's this one from his old clan or pod that was blinded but still has the power to bite like a wolf's head in Princess Mononoke. And things are going good. The kids are staying in the back and stuff like that. And then the wife of the tree, I forget her name. I don't care. But she's about to give birth, but she's still able to do all this stuff. Now, mind you, the whales are laying out ships and they're doing some good stuff. And then the Ash people arrive. Are taking out, the various Na'vi, the Reefer people, that kind of stuff, as things are just going absolutely insane. And also there was that orange dragon, Tuluk, I think is his name, that Jake ended up bonding with. And meanwhile, Corderich is trying to get Spider, because Spider, remember, at the last one saved him, but didn't want to save him, but still felt, okay, need to be better than he would be. That ends up kind of being his undoing. But then, okay, all this shit's going on. This stuff's insane. Meanwhile, while all this battle's going on, Curie was trying to bond with the Mother Earth urchin thing. They got blown up. Not before Spider and even, I believe, Took, her daughter, got put there. So, there we go. They're trying to get to the Great Mother 2001 baby thing. Stuff's blowing up, the younger Tolkiens are about to get, harpooned, and they're getting sonic boomed because we're going with Guile, Sing Guile. Probably shouldn't say that. And then, suddenly, there was one part that, backing up here a little bit, that Loak dealt with when he was working, trying to basically get his favorite Tolkien back. There are these deep spirits, these squid things that were having this bite stuff going on. And if you're not careful, they will get you. Well, then Curie decides she suddenly has the power with the wings that helped her breathe underwater from Way of Water 2. She does the motion with these weird squid things and says, kill the sky people, kill them all. We're kind of dicks, so I get it, but rude, but also not. So they do that, and then they're taking people out. And again, I cannot stress enough how this all looks like PS5 graphics. I mean, it just literally looks like a fucking video game. It doesn't feel real, and that's the biggest problem with these movies. That none of it feels real. And so I guarantee you this, by the time Avatar 4 comes out, if I review it, it's going to be on Letterboxd. Because it's not coming out till 2029. I'm going to be 47 at that point. No, 48. I am not going to be continuously doing stuff, given the fact I'm almost 45. But to finish up this whole goddamn thing, these squids are doing this, and the whales are breaching and destroying more stuff. Nateri and Varang are fighting, and stuff's being sent, and this giant, ship thing is being sunk again. Oh, and there's this magnetic field thing that just happens to be popping up in this area. And that's going to suck stuff in. But not before we see Jake, we see Quarterich, and we see Spider doing their stuff and battling on these rocks, which will probably make a perfect video game level should they do an Avatar Fire and Ash video game, where they're fighting, and the Aussie guy got eaten by the blind thing, and I hope they got the stuff out of the blind, the harpoons and all that. And all three, Jake and Quarterich are fighting. Spider ends up arrowing his dad at one point in in one of his arms, and then suddenly they're hanging off the goddamn thing, but Jake pulls him back up as his bad arm, Quarterich's bad arm, is holding up Spider. They get him. And then suddenly the other Na'vi show up, and Nateri in particular are about to get Quarterich, and then he says, well, ain't this a bitch? And he just dives off into the fire, into the magnetic field. So seemingly he's dead. I mean, we didn't see him die. I don't know how the fuck he's going to survive that. And even though some of the humans abandoned ship, I don't know how many would have necessarily made it. And then we get bonding with, the Na'vi people and all that, and the stuff going on with the Ash people probably realizing, hey, we were kind of dickish and probably shouldn't have done that because we were outnumbered and outsmarted. That was Avatar Fire and Ash. I don't really care if I got into the minutiae of some of this stuff. I just wanted to talk about certain things, but it's not good. I will say for the visuals and for the things I like, because I did like some things. But in a 197-minute long movie, if you only like some things, then you can give it no more than a C+, which is what I gave it. Is it one of the worst movies of the year? Hardly. Is it one of the most overhyped movies of the year? Maybe, but it depends on if that's your sort of thing. Not my sort of thing. I gave it a shot. In retrospect, I probably could have just waited and let this thing hit Disney+. But I wanted to get another movie on the list before I hit the full goal before the end of the year, because we're nearing the end of the year, folks. So yeah, C+. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Ritlin. Until we revisit Pandora again, God forbid, God help us, James Cameron, don't do this anymore. Happy trails to you.